Hey everybody, it's Emily at Arrrgh Schooling, and today I'm going to be sharing our Arrrgh Booked Book Club reads for the months of April through July. So, if you're not familiar, I host a book club here on my channel called the Arrrgh Booked Book Club. And this year we have a co-host, Tanya from Project Happy Home, and together we read a book each month. And at the end of the month we have a live show where we discuss the book and all of our thoughts together. I also have a Discord where we can chat in real time as we read, so if you want to read along, I would love that. Just grab the book we're reading for the month and join us for the live show. The live show is always the first Saturday of the following month. Without further ado, let me unveil what we're going to be reading in April, May, June, and July. So for the month of April, we're going to be reading Theater of Marvels by Leanne Dillsworth. I've had this book on my TBR for over a year. I pre-ordered this when it came out and I was really excited about it, but I just haven't had a chance to read it yet. This is a story set in Victorian London, and we are following a biracial character as she makes her way to the stage. She has grown up in like the slums of Victorian London, and her mother's always wanted the best for her, so she's finally finding her place in society and doing everything she can to have her best possible life when a black actress goes missing, and she kind of goes on this quest to figure out what happened to her. So this sounds really good. I love anything set in Victorian London. It's hard to find books set in that place with biracial characters or black characters or anything like that, so I'm really interested in that. It says, a stunning and deliciously immersive debut, Leanne Dillsworth's Theater of Marvels is a riveting journey across Victorian London and an unforgettable tale of race, identity, and a woman's reclamation of her fate. So I'm really excited that we're going to be reading this together in April. In May, we're going to be reading a book that has been on my TBR for literal years. Like, I've always meant to read this, but for some reason I haven't, and I cannot explain why I have not picked up this book. So when Tanya and I were talking about books that might match up on our TBRs, and I saw she had this on her TBR, I was like, okay, we're reading that together for book club. And that is Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. I know either last year or the year before, I can't remember when, we read like her newest book, which I can't think of the name of. I'll put a picture of it here. And I've been like meaning to pick up more of her work. So I'm excited that we're going to be reading a Ruta Sepetys together again this year. So I think this was like one of her earlier books. I don't know if this was her first book. Was this a debut? Does anyone know? Let me know if, in the comments, was this her debut? This is set during World War II, and it's at sea. That's all I know. It's World War II, and it's like set on a ship at sea. And what I love about Ruta Sepetys is that all of her books are some like little known tidbit from history, or some like place that people haven't really read that much about. So like, this is one of those kinds of books where it's a real event that happened and she wrote a story around that. So I'm really excited to read this because, like I said, I've had this on my TBR for years. Sarah's read it, has told me I needed to read it, so I'm finally going to read it. We're going to read it together. So I'm really excited about reading Salt to the Sea with everybody in May. In June, we're reading a book, again, that I've had on my TBR. Like, that's going to be kind of the theme. These are all things that I've had on my shelves that have been really calling out to me that I'm like, that would be good for a book club. And we're going to be reading The Woman They Could Not Silence by Kate Moore. I've been wanting to read this for so long. One of my favorite things to read about is the way women were institutionalized merely for just being women, for speaking up, things like that. And I just think that's horrible, and reading about like the resilience of the women in these institutions and like what happened to them is endlessly fascinating to me. And that is what this book is about. This is set in 1860, and the woman we're following is Elizabeth Packard, a housewife and mother of 6, and her husband is plotting against her because he feels increasingly threatened by her intellect, by her independence, by her unwillingness to stifle her own thoughts. And so he has her institutionalized in an asylum. And this is a book about like her experience and what happened to her there. It says the horrific conditions inside the Illinois State Hospital of Jacksonville, Illinois, are overseen by Dr. Andrew McFarland, a man who will prove to be even more dangerous to Elizabeth than her traitorous husband. But most disturbing is that Elizabeth is not the only sane woman confined to this institution. There are many rational women on her ward who all tell of the same story. They've been committed not because they need medical treatment, but because they are labeled as crazy, so their voices will go ignored. So this is just one of those things that I love to read about. I hope you do too. This is nonfiction as well, so I like to change it up a little bit once in a while. So we're going to be reading some nonfiction together in June. And then in July, this is another book that's been on my shelf for a really long time. And that is As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Khattu. This book just sounds like something I'm going to love. And I've been like trying to figure out when I can pick, like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, there are some books that you're like, I'll get to you when the time is right. And then you just like stare at it for months, years. And it's like, why haven't I read you yet? Well, the time has come. I'm going to be reading this with you in July. This is a YA novel, and it is about a character who lives in Syria, and it has to do with the war in Syria and refugees. And I've heard nothing but good things about this book. Everyone who's read this has raved about it. So like, I'm really excited to finally pick it up and read it with all of you. And so we're going to be reading this together in July. So here it is, our next 4 months of reading together. I'm really excited about all of these books. I'm looking so forward to chatting with all of you and the great discussions we're going to have. So I hope you will pick these up and read along with me. I hope I've chosen things that are as exciting for you as they are for me. I've also tried to line these up with prompts for the Build Your Library Reading Challenge. So like we have a book set in Victorian London. We have a book about an inspiring woman. It's also nonfiction. A book about refugees. So this is a war story. So if you're working on the reading challenge, all of these will fit into that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're excited about reading along with the Arrrgh Booked Book Club this year, and I will see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.